Welcome everyone, I'm Ace of Spades, and this is Goblin-Inc. Before we go over the patch notes, Season 5 PTR starting this Monday, let's go straight up and talk about the unique items, because there is a lot of good things that developers did, but before doing that, as I'm toxic, I'm gonna tell you about all the things they did wrong. Starting with the Basilisk, a very imposing name for something so feeble. Maybe it would have been better to call it the Ball Sack, as mathematically it is a damage loss on every single build in the game. Now, as to why anyone would run a damage loss on every build in the game, no one will run it. That's the answer. So you just made this item, no one is gonna use it. Let's run through it to explain why it is a damage loss in every build. The Earth attack speed and the critical strike chance combined is still gonna be worse than running, for example, every Earth skill in the game has double cast. Boulder has double cast, Landslide has double cast, and Earth Spike has double cast. That's gonna be a better multiplier than the attack speed and crit chance, leaving the item then with only 2 stats. Meanwhile, also the aspect being completely useless. To really explain Blizzard one thing. This is a game heavily based towards bosses, and please go leave a comment if you disagree with me. One of the most important thing is the build good against bosses? Like, first question people ask, if you actually interact with the community, it is always, is the build good for bosses? Is the build bad for bosses? How's the single target damage? And something that works once on a boss and then it's down for 8 minutes while I fight Tormented Lilith till she blasts my butt with her spikes. No. Okay, but on the other hand, honestly, for Druid, the Rackanot's Wake boots, actually I'm excited about it. So that's why is this exciting? Here I see a Bulwark build. When you cast a skill with a cooldown, aka Bulwark, you explode dealing fire damage. Also, non-physical damage is increased, cooldown reduction on the boots, and all stats. Mwah, perfect. Now, Bulwark also got some massive buffs. It now is based on max life, as we're gonna see later. But my idea, so it can function as both defense and offense, where like you're immortal with massive shield and immune to damage, but also at the same time you do damage with your defensive skills, which I honestly enjoy. Blizzard does not like it, but so it's whatever. Let's enjoy it while it lasts. Casting a defensive skill with Flash Render deals damage. Now, having another item that does the same thing but more damage, more than doubles the damage of the build. There's already a Flash Render build out there. Now we can have a Flash Render. This is gonna be honestly, it could be a very interesting build to play. With Flash Render, insta reset cooldown of shouts. We have there's a bug that I'm not gonna talk about, otherwise they're gonna fix it and the build will not work. Funny enough, some bugs, fix bugs, but bug fix. Look at this bug, guys. What's that? Bug fix for Druid. There it is. Fixed an issue where enhanced rabies was scaling beyond the 60% bonus. If the damage over the time duration was extended. Ooh, let's nerf rabies, please. It's a bug. I mean, did you really need to nerf that? Is that really a bug? I mean, So there is a bug with the Flash Render build that it is a positive thing that we don't talk about, but my god. Well, sure, I mean, I don't want to be the guy that hides bugs, but fine, whatever. The shout cooldown reduction, where is that? This one is a little bit bugged and works better than it should. So this is pretty good. I think a build based around this, Debilitating Blood Owl, Bulwark, maybe even Nature Savagery, honestly. It would be very interesting and see how much damage we can get out of that. Or Additionally to that, maybe Best in Rampage, but I think resetting Bulwark with Nature's Fury, it's a lot of interesting things to add to that build, honestly. I'm very excited about it. It's also maybe possible to play something similar with Cron Staff, because then you get double the cast of Nature's Fury, and then maybe you play with Overcharged. I think there's quite a few decent buffs to Overcharge as well, especially also like the Cataclysm. Let's go to Druid, not the bugs, but the cross. So the new uniques, this one, where like Cataclysm does 80% damage, but also you're now guaranteed to strike anything in range, and 80% extra damage. It's a massive buff for Overcharged, especially because there's another buff down there for Cataclysm, where now it's guaranteed to strike. No, it's not this one. Where is it? Here. Latin strikes rate is doubled, so you get double the Latin strikes and the guaranteed hit. That's a lot of damage on Overcharged. Very interesting to see how that honestly plays out. There could be some really degenerate things to do with Overcharged. So I'm pretty optimistic about that, honestly. We'll see how far we can extend the buff, how fast we can attack, etc. It could be a powerful build. So that would be for that build. I have in mind that build. So let's keep going over. There's a lot of interesting builds to play this season. We have the movement speed for companions, which is not great, as movement speed is useless. TLDR, there is enough utility aspects now that we never take move speed pretty much anymore on boots, because we rather run other things, and you get move speed from temperings. We get new tempering to reduce the cooldown of ultimates, but that's really not a big deal. Now for Druid, here they made a mistake, but you know, I'm gonna add that to my PTR feedback in the forum after I finish recording this video. Passive ranks bonus for clarity are fixed, and now it is added to amulets. Okay, now clarity, if you don't know clarity, it is core for hurricane builds to play, so now you get higher deals, you get a lot of damage. It's really powerful. Now, the issue is that, okay, so you play hurricane, right? And as you can see, hurricane damage has been increased to compensate for the fact that Shepherd now does not work with rough skills anymore, right? I made a suggestion to make Shepherd work with companion skills and with rough skills. And they only implement the fact that it will deal more damage for companions. I did not say it casually that it should have remained to rough skills. Maybe I didn't explain fully, because it's a long thought process when you account for everything in the build. Okay. So I wanted only the core part removed. I did not want the rough skills buffed, and I did not want rough skill bonus damage from Shepherd removed, because you run clarity. So if you run clarity and you run 3 pets, now Shepherd not giving you damage is not gonna be the incentive. It's not gonna be an incentive against not running the pets. In that build, you do run 3 pets, and they do something for you. So you might as well leave Shepherd to give you damage. But I think that's a little bit of my mistake. We just don't want Shepherd to be in every build. I think one build with Shepherd for Hurricane and one build Shepherd for pets made it interesting, but small details. Landslide, as you can see now, damage doubled to compensate for Shepherd. Good. More air of effect. That's good. Double the amount of pillars, meaning double damage. And it says the total damage increase went from 70% to 280%. So they're doing the math on like how much damage you would get. So you can see it's a quite significant damage increase. It's a 4 times damage. And that's because there is double the pillars and double the damage. So yeah, 2 times 2, 4. And they're just so proud about it that they're telling you about it. This also means, by the way, that it's double damage for Lightning Storm. And then Lightning Storm gets double damage again, pretty much. Which means, yes, you do get 4x damage on your Landstorm build, but you lose Shepherd, but you gain an aspect slot, and then you recover that damage. So actually, I don't think that Druid got massively nerfed, or like nerfed at all. I think Druid is stronger than before, even with the Thunderstruck capped. And I think Thunderstruck being capped, honestly, is good. Because it then would make only Storm skills strong if Thunderstruck wasn't capped. So if we check Thunderstruck, now the legendary node is capped at 40%. This is necessary to make Earth builds more viable. Now Landslide honestly might be the better version of the build. Landslide might be the best build for the next season. Landstorm also could be very strong. And all sorts of other builds. I would be honestly not surprised if Landslide is the top build. Very powerful indeed. And it might be worth looking into a full Landslide build first. But probably I will do the Bulwark build first. Now back, let's keep reading the patch notes in order. We have Shred being buffed, which does not do anything for the build. But I think they're reworking it. My theory is that they have not buffing rabies. They are gonna rework poison. Like one of the big feedback, at least I gave Blizzard in my several video where I rant about it and several rage threads on Reddit. That thank you guys for, you know, we baby raged enough where things changed. We don't want buffs to rabies because it needs a rework. You can buff it 100 times, it's not gonna happen. So they stopped buffing rabies, they stopped buffing Shred, and they're looking probably, in my opinion, for ways to reintroduce Brood Beast, because it's really the only way to make it work, unless you do a full rework. We have Pulverize damage buffed from 50 to 92%. Now, Pulverize is not 50% in game. So I don't know about that. Pulverize is like 70 or 80 something in game. I think they forgot about the fact that they buffed Pulverize. We'll have to see. Tornado, double damage, Lightning Stone double damage, and Hurricane double damage. All of these to account for the changes to Shepherd, but there is no Boulder change. So they... like... Are they afraid Druid is gonna do too much damage? Because now the Dolmen Stone... Where's Dolmen Stone? No, Boulder. Where's Boulder? Now, Boulder no longer removes rough skill tag from Boulder when you use the Metamorphic Stone aspect. Are they afraid that, like, too powerful? There's, like, too much power in the hands of Druid that they're gonna take over the meta? You should have buffed the Boulder damage. You should have definitely buffed the Boulder damage. But, you know, it's not gonna be Boulder season. But that's also fine, honestly. One day, maybe it's gonna be... If you do Boulder change, I feel like if you did so many Boulder changes that if you do more Boulder changes, the build has to be fixed at this point. It's too many. It's ridiculous. You have to go in, try the build, and make sure the build is viable before you make any changes, or rework the thing like you're gonna do with Rabies, I assume. Ravens can now be cast while moving. Poison Creeper can be cast while moving. Lacerate. Now Air Inquisitor 2. That's a pretty good change. But the damage is not there yet. Casting Lacerate teleports to the target. The damage is not there, but they might look into do things for ultimates in the future. Maybe some items will do multiplicative damage for ultimate bonus damage. Flicker Step maybe gets an insane buff. They mentioned buffing uniques that way. Cataclysm, Lightning Strike rate is doubled. We talked about it for overcharge builds. Is kind of interesting, honestly. And my Stormclaw might be... Raikiri, actually, with Cataclysm, if you guys remember, might actually be very powerful. But there's one small nerf later that kinda... We'll see. Grizzly Rage completely gutted. TLDR, the cooldown of the build starts when Grizzly Rage ends. Making the build, honestly, I mean, I don't know what to say. Yikes. That's all I'm gonna say. Debilitating Roar, damage reduction. Also, they capped the damage you can get to 75%. Bro, it's bugged. You're only getting 1% damage anyway. And it's not bug fixed yet, so yeah. But another story for a PTR forum post. to show the bugs. Debilitating Roar damage reduction decreased from 70% to 40%. Not a big deal, honestly. It was too strong, but also we're getting so much buff to our defense to compensate for this. This makes it so that builds with Debilitating Roar are as good as before, and other builds are more tanky. We have kind of like a very big difference in tankiness in Druid builds, whether you played Debi Roar or not, and now it's not so much. It's a very good change when you account for all the changes to the R that we received. Earth and Bulwark now is based on max life, meaning that you can make pretty much immortally shielded builds again. Now, Bulwark is a real skill. It will give you 100k HP shield, and the Unstoppable will last a longer time. It's a very good change. Cyclone Armor. It could be honestly be played in the Landslide builds, and you kill the enemies and increase you keep refreshing your shield, but we'll see about that. Cyclone Armor, non-physical damage reduction is increased 15%. It's a big change because the more points you put in it, the bigger this gets. Instead of scaling from 10%, you scale from 15%. Shepard, we talked about it already, it's a good change. The Skinwalker aspect, the TLDR is that now it heals for 20%. That's a good change, as now it does something, but I don't think that we need it, and I don't think it will see play in a lot of builds. The Aftershock delay is decreased. This makes the build a little bit better, but nothing crazy. It is a buff to the Landstorm and Landslide builds. Lupin Ferocity is double damage now than before. If you guys do not know what it is, it's the Keystone passive. Pretty much now, every third werewolf skills, it's a critical strike guaranteed at 70% damage. So virtually, if you have 0% crit chance, you have 33% crit chance at 70% damage increased, which is kind of a sweet. We have Vigilance, damage reduction increased for skill 7%. Again, it's big. It's extra 6% of the R. But because you already have 15 before, it's more than that. It's very OP. It's probably like 8% extra DR. Iron 4, another 1% per point. It's big. Item Sense, another 1% point per stock you have. It's big. It's a lot of DR, guys. We have Metamorphic Stone aspect. Maybe too much, honestly. Druid might just be too immortal. Well, Metamorphic, I'm afraid I'm making the game a little bit too easy, but, Metamorphic Stone aspect no longer removes rough skill tag from Boulder. We talked about it. We talked about Thunderstruck. Now, human glyphs, all the glyphs pretty much, the damage reduction has been increased to 15%, like Barbarians have. So now it's more fair. And they also give more damage, which is nice. Especially Werebear and Human being 10% per willpower point. That's kind of crazy. It makes those glyphs actually really insane damage and DR. It's really, really big, honestly. Because it used to be 6.6% damage because, willpower. It required 40 willpower instead of 25 to activate the glyph. So that's a huge chunk of damage you get from those. I have to do the math. It might be worth investing into willpower more in those sockets. Overall, it's a really good patch. Let's go and finish up by looking at the bug fixes, which are a bit of a yikes for us. We have fixed an issue where Lightning Storm didn't scale with passive and temporary attack speed. Now, I do not know what temporary attack speed means. It could mean that now Lightning Storm works with attack speed, the channeling, which would make it extremely overpowered. It could actually be a huge change for Lightning Storm, but I don't know what does it really mean. And I also don't know how it will work with Nature's Fury. Then we have, it could possibly be incredibly overpowered. We have Lightning Storm didn't scale with passive, which I can show you. It's those passives here that did not work. So Lightning Storm gain additional Lightning Strike didn't work. I'm thinking of fixing that. So this will be one more strike, which is a big deal as you only have 5 strikes. With that you would go at 6. So it's a sizable, it's a 15% damage increase or 20%, depending which way you look at it. Then we have some weapons where skew towards two-handed, whatever. They nerfed Rabies, whatever, because Rabies does 0 damage anyway. And then we have a fixed an issue where the pull effect from Arida had a larger area of effect than intended. Yikes. That was like a very cool thing. And it was honestly, it's kind of sad. It's like the only thing that made the item good, now the item is trash. And we don't have any other way to group enemies. And then you remove this, it's a horrible change, and I will be part of my feedback. Rabies did not benefit from Toxic Claws, don't care. But, and then fixed a bunch of tooltips, which, you know, don't really do anything important for us. Overall, a great patch for Druid, and there will be a lot more interesting and fun builds for you to play. The class still needs a little bit more damage, or needs Barbarian to be nerfed, and Rogue to be nerfed. And after that, honestly, we have a lot of very interesting and fun builds, and they honestly fixed most of the class issues minus Shred builds. From a design perspective, it was an incredible patch, with very few mistakes. But, yeah, still missing damage. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm very excited for PTR Monday, and I will be streaming it, so only in a couple of days. See ya.